questions. If you've got any questions, please ask them.
We should do it again because I didn't like do it backwards.
You want to do it? Okay.
I'll start again. Everybody say who you are and what movie you're in and how much you love the movie. Bill Randolph. Bill Randolph. And then Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, part 2, number 2. And the reason why 2 is so good is because they did 1 first.
I'm Erika Anderson, and I was in Nightmare on Elm Street. I had the most gruesome death in the series. Well, everybody knows, I'm sure. As you know, in the Freddy movies, you always die of your worst fear, and I played a model, and my mother was always after me to eat right, watch my weight, and so I fell asleep at the dinner table, and Freddy Krueger fed me my guts. And my face got bigger and bigger. And it's your turn, Ari.
Oh my God, Hi, I'm Ari Lehman, rhymes with Demon. I played the first Jason Voorhees in the movie Friday the 13th, and I have a metal band called First Jason.
Friday the 13th. Sorry. Yes, my name is Beatric Boepple. That rhymes with nothing. I play Amanda Krueger, the mother of famous Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street 5, the dream child. I give birth to him and I take him back inside me.
I'm Dugan. I played Randolph in the original Catastrophicon massacre, which was about 50 years ago in the summer in Texas. About 110 degrees. And I was also in the fourth one. I played a cop in a sequence with Randolph.
You made her.
Yeah, okay.
That scene.
Yeah, exactly. Right here. I split off when I act. And it was obviously in Texas and everything. And they kept having to get it out of this one, this stuff, and have an hour and everything. You know, we were doing 2 shots in profile. And for this one, I didn't do my job. Standing there. She reached up, she touched me, it starts right there, and then it spreads all over your face. So that's my touch from the break there. And then before that film was released, she won the Academy Award. So then she and Matthew McConaughey tried to, and their people tried to stop the film even beyond release. So it took years after we shot it.
John, I'm going to circle back to that, but Alvin and Monique Dupress these things.
Good story. So my name is Alvin Alexis, and I was in the movie Night of the Demons.
Let's hear it.
I was the first black man to survive, or one of the first, not the first to survive a horror film. If you want to bet on who would die first, put your money on the black guy. Yeah. So anyway, that was my that's why I'm here today.
Hi guys, my name is Monique Dupress, and although I've done 150 movies, I do not actually belong on this panel. I am known, however, for doing a lot of trauma films. If you guys know anything about trauma, I did some drama movies that you want to think about. That is what I do. And one day I'm going to be like, so I'm here.
I would say that you are really already.
So it's a little hard to be the moderator without a microphone, so I'm going to try my best to be as loud as I can. You said Classic High, right? One of the greatest movies series of all time. So please don't sit yourself short on that. As a kid growing up, horror movies had to have a sense of humor to them for me to really get into them. I could never just sit and watch something where it's like, oh, these people are just going to get hacked to death with a plot. I need something a little more than that. I need humor. So Trauma was really my introduction to horror films. Other than, what was that horror, the 5 or 6 Faces of Death?
Oh, yes.
Which could have turned me off from life at that point.
Yes.
But it's really cool to have such a genre. And the thing that I've always noticed, my podcast partner is huge into slasher films. And he does a lot of the shows. And I've done a couple shows with him, and I'm like, these are the most shoulder-relaxed people you'll ever meet. And I'm like, why? And he goes, because we've already got all our aggressions out watching people get hacked and murdered. And he's also, he's an educator, and he's written horror books, and I read these things, I'm like, how can you do this? And where does this come from, and am I next? So, first question to you guys, and please, think of some questions that you want to ask the panelists. That's why we're all here. I'm just kind of here to go until we get some good questions. When I start asking what's your favorite color, you've got to jump in, because it's not going to be good.
No, I did. You basically are saying you love trauma films, which we all love trauma films. Let's hear for trauma films. Which are not slasher films. So you have a slighter version of the slasher films, which is okay. But this is the slasher panel, is it not?
Yeah.
How many people out there love slasher films? Who doesn't really watch for the plot, but is watching for the special effects? Thank you.
So that is my first question.
So who wants to be the first person to talk about slasher films? Bill?
Yeah, so my first question to all of you is sticking with that exact thing that you just said. I sat with my best friend as he interviewed Kane Hodder talking about what's your favorite kill? And they're going on about that. You even mentioned it with, how did you die? So talk about your deaths. And did that have any impact in your life? Like, did you just do that as a job and just walk away? Like, it was like, oh, I had to do this scene here, and then walk away. Did it have any, lasting impact?
Well, when they did my death, which actually I get a spear through the back, immediately following fornication, so it was a puncture bob. But to set up that effect, it took 4 hours for each take. And so I'm in a bed with a hole in it, and the fake back is put on me so it looks like I'm lying, naked in the bed. And and essentially, for me, it was boring as hell. But, when I see it on screen, and of course they cut it from the original release of the film, it is extras in the some of the later, Blu-ray sets. But, so I never really saw it. Because by the time I went to the movies to see it, it was already cut. And so it was kind of, the spear came through the bed, the bloody spear came through the bed, but it did not affect me at all. Because it was on the cutting room floor.
I wore a lot of makeup in Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think it took like 4 hours to do that crazy prosthetic makeup, and it was all in different stages, so they would snap on the bottom part of my mouth, and there was like one medium, small, and a medium, then a really disgusting one. And it was long. It was long hours, and when everybody wrapped and it was time for them to go home, I had to stay so they could take all these pieces off of my face. It was really, kind of daunting, and also when you get under those hot lights, it's not comfortable. So I didn't mind because I thought the whole thing was hilarious. I didn't care. And I know that they told me later that they had a hard hard time finding somebody who looked like they could be a model that was game enough to get really, really ugly. And I didn't care. I thought it was exciting. So I loved doing it, but it was a little time-consuming. But I didn't have any sort of lasting effects other than it fucked up my skin. But I got over it. It's fine. And I'm also proud to say that it is the most disgusting death scene. And they tried to give it an X rating because it was too much.
Let's hear it. Most disgusting death scene. Hey, I don't know why we're talking about any effects that it has, because as you heard my compatriots here, it's work. We have to work. We're working in a work environment. And we're encouraged as actors in many ways. Tom Savini, of course, made it a super fun experience for me. Him and his assistant were like Cheech and Chong of horror. It was like a lot of fun. It was 1979 after all. It was kind of a party atmosphere at the camp. And I was the only kid there at a summer camp. So it was so much fun. For me, I probably had more fun on the set of Friday the 13th than anybody ever had in the movie, because it was like one of my first movies. So let's talk about what actors do for a living, which is not about, has nothing to do with psychology, which is really kind of, anyway. My point is to say, it's the effect we have on you. It's the effect that moment has had on other people. And can you cause an effect through an emotional transformation that exists through body language, or in actors who are better than me, speech? Because let's remember, little Jason has no lines whatsoever. But I hasten to say that, follow me here mathematically, if you will, which is the ultimate proof of anything. As we are in college. So let's do the math. If you were to divide the number of seconds that I was on the screen by the number of people that I have scared the crap out of in these decades, you were to divide that number, you would find that there is a world record for the most people scared in the shortest amount of time. So, it's not an effect on me, it's an effect on the world. Next.
Well then now what do we answer? What you change, what you want to say, what you think. Yeah, so well I can cut it out because I killed Freddie, but you know, of course he comes back to life, but
Yes, kill Freddie!
no, but his mom, as in most people's lives, his mom is what he's most scared of. So I do have that claim to make, that I'm what Freddy Krueger's scared of. You know, he doesn't have too much kryptonite except his mom. And when we were originally, the very, very first draft that I was given of the script, which changed and changed and changed over and over, his blood would not come out of him. They were going to destroy him. And it was one of the many, many times that Robert Englund was, I guess he had said at some point to them that, oh, I'm done, this is the last one. I think he said that numerous times. So originally they were just, I take him back inside me, and then that's the end. I throw us into the room of the 100 maniacs, thereby destroying Freddy. But then they quickly changed it to, no, let's have his blood come out of you so that there can potentially be another one, which they clearly don't need because they can bring him back from anything. You can have a dog pee on, whatever, and he'll come back. So. In any case, so I didn't really die because I was already dead, and so was he. Yeah. Well, he was. We were both, I was undead and dead, and we both felt about it. You know, why am I looking at you when I'm talking about death? I don't know. I'm looking for answers. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so that's enough.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Did you hear about the
Okay, so one of So anyway, I was in the first one, played a cop in the fourth one, I played Grandpa again in 3D, and I'm the only actor that's done 3 films in franchise. You know, this is a slasher level, but honestly, you know, I know that Chainsaw, the first one, is considered a slasher, but when you look at it again, there's hardly any blood and guts in it. It's all suggestive. You know, people say, "Man, when you see that, let's go in that room." I said, "No, you see her react to it. You're gonna see it." And oh, it's back to wheelchair, and he cuts him in half and takes from it. It's shot in silhouette from behind. You don't see that. Oh, yeah, I'm just saying the first one is not. You know, even though it's considered maybe one of the first actual classic films that you know, and so, and that's part of the genius of Toad, Indy, and Kim Henkel. Kim Henkel is the one that really has a weird sense of humor that works its way into the film. Like, the character of Frank. Kim Henkel is probably the first screenwriter ever to write a character who is handicapped, who is also fucking obnoxious because he hates the guy, you know, whining in a wheelchair. It never happens, you know, and irritating handicapped. And that's Kim Henkel's doing there. Well, how was this? Oh, you said something about a chicken. I was also a chicken wrangler. On the first exercise, I worked as a production assistant for chicken wrangler. I was a chicken wrangler. There's a fucking mangy chicken that we took and put inside of a carton. And this was the noisiest, fucked up chicken in the world. As soon as the cameras would go, it would do nothing. So it's like, here, take this broomstick. And when we tell you to hold the bottom of the cage,
John, disturb the chicken when we say that. And this was before the disclaimer at the end of the conference. It says no.
And there was also, because, you know, they were an artsy crafty family, you know, the Chainsaw family. There was this there was a Robert Burns, who was a production designer, was a fucking evil genius. So he took a chicken pen into chicken feet, and he nailed the chicken feet to a board, and then the chicken's head on top of it. So it was a little sculpture of a chicken in the middle of a dinner table, with the head and 2 feet and a piece of wood just leaning and gone. Yeah, and that was all the food smell and all that shit.
I gotta go before this guy. That's what I'm learning. Okay, so unless you are Jason, Freddie, Angela from United Demons, you could be killed, but you know you can be back. In my case, okay, first black guy, I survived the picture, and then I heard that they're doing a sequel. So I'm just waiting for the producer to call me and say, and I know that, you know, I'm gonna get another opportunity. That's every actor's dream, to continue working. I'm gonna call. Waiting. And then I found out they're going in a different direction. So, there goes that. So that doesn't mean that just because you survive one, you're gonna be in the next one. True. But the redeeming part of it was, the second the third, the follow-up to that. Yeah, no one talks about that today. Everyone wants to know about the first one. So I'm glad I did that first one, and that was the one that made the impact. And of course, maybe producers might realize in the future that don't try to change the formula because you may end up not getting what you expected. Okay? That's my 2 cents. Okay? There you go. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so because probably 2 of you in this room have seen my first slasher film that I did ever, I just want to tell you a little backstory behind it. Because it's a very indie film called Bachelor Party in the Bungalow of the Day. My husband had to be there for the whole thing. I'm so sorry. But what I would like to tell you guys really quickly is how I got this role. Has anybody ever heard of Craigslist before? Okay, so I was one of the dummies that answered an ad for an actress, not knowing whether I was actually going to be in a real life, like I'm gonna get murdered. And I told him, I was like, well, they're looking for an actress in the Hamptons, you know, for this horror film. And he said, are you kidding me? It's Craigslist. I'm like, well, you know, you go with me if anything happens, you know, hurt him. That's it. So we went. Everything went great. As a matter of fact, I had my first opportunity to sit through 10 hours of makeup, which I absolutely love. It was the most amazing experience for me, and it helped me with transforming. So I'm one of those weirdos who like to sit in hours of makeup. So I played a vampire posing as a normal human being. Now, while my death in this movie was uneventful and I hated it a lot, what I did love was how I got to kill people was with my breast because they had teeth. And it was the most awesome experience I've ever had. Okay, now y'all, so I had
2 sets of teeth or 1 giant set?
I had 1 giant set right here in my face, and then I had a set here and a set here. Yes, done by Wicked Effects. On to do the Tron movies and everything. 10 hours. I had like you know how the makeup that Mystique has to get in to do her, okay, so that's what I was in green. From my boobs up. And they were just dangling free, you know, with teeth on them, bangs and all of that stuff. And so my first ever slasher film, I got to kill men with my boobs because they were teeth. And so I couldn't top that. And I got Craigslist, y'all. Craigslist. They made it move in the special effects that they did. I mean, it didn't move in real life, but what I would do is do a little shimmy to make them like smack them in the face a little bit. I thought that I was really cool.
Motorboat of death.
Exactly. Mind you, because of my face mask, I couldn't open my mouth. So while everybody was eating this huge buffet that they provided, they had to stick a straw up my nostril hole and down into my mouth to drink the smoothie version of whatever my husband fed me. I don't even know what it was, but that was how I had to eat. And I slept standing up on the side because I had to stay in the makeup for like 11 hours. So by the time it ended, I was wanting to kill people with whatever I can kill them with on my body. So but it was really a great experience, and it was my first slasher movie. And if you can find it in Walmart with the 4-pack DVD, Bachelor Party in the Bungalow of the Damned, you should see it, because even though it's a very indie movie, it's really entertaining, and it's really cool, and my boobs kill people.
What's your next question, sir?
Well, you know what I think after the chicken story. I thought it was going to be hard to top the chicken story. Does anybody have any questions? You guys are here. This is your panel.
Yeah, you said you like to make up. Were you claustrophobic in yours, Erika?
I wasn't claustrophobic, but it just was a giant pain in the ass. And the same thing, I couldn't eat. Or we did all the heavy makeup stuff all in a week. So about the fourth day, I was really tired of it. And they told me I could eat, but I had to eat through a straw and it was smoothies. And I was bored after 4 days. And the day I decided I'm not doing this anymore, they served spaghetti. And because my mouth was built out, that spaghetti and the sauce would rest in this great. And then I shoot them the hot lights and it started to smell. I didn't eat spaghetti for years. It was nasty either after that. Yeah, I wasn't claustrophobic, but I just, you can't function normally under those conditions. And then when you're really ready to go home and they call wrap, you can't. So it was a little trying, but I never felt claustrophobic. Because I could see really well. So it was just this. But, you know, some people probably enjoy it, but I couldn't talk.
I still talk. I kind of put my shot through the nose hole and was just like, hey, baby, I need.
Next question.
Anybody have anything? Oh, yes.
Each of you sort of played characters that were either an extension of what became popular tropes or were the first ones, like you said, you were the first black guy to survive Harvard. You were also the first black guy to come back and say white.
Yes.
Did you realize it initially, or did that catch up with you much later? Like, John, you were the first asshole killer cripple.
Damn.
Did these things occur to you when you were filming, or was it later? I mean, Ari was the abused, neglected child's revenge. The pregnant nun. Did any of these things occur to you while you were doing it, or did you catch on later? Wow, this is not something that is going to be seen in any other realm of film without it being considered.
You know, I was kind of a really serious kid. So when I was on the set, I would look down into the lake, like, to get my motivation. I was like, yeah, what would it be like to turn into a monster underwater? Yeah, Jason. So Kevin Bacon would just take a piss in the woods. So he comes back and he sees me looking into the water. He goes, Ari, what you doing? And I'm like, I'm getting into character, man. And he just fell out laughing. He just fell on the floor. He's like, you're 12 years old. I'm like, I'm 14, man. He said, we're just trying to get into the other characters and all that. It just went right over my head. Yeah, so I mean, but 2 days on a serious note. Okay, so the character of Jason, of course, so I related it with those kids in the back of the class. You know, that nobody talks to. But I would always talk to those kids because I'm me. You know, I'll be like, hey, you know, I was friends with everybody. I didn't care, you know, artists, freaks, jocks, whatever. Guy who can't talk properly. I didn't care. I was like, let's be friends. You know? So I thought about it, like, if I do something final, are they going to associate that with those kids, right? Are they going to say, oh, kids who have special needs might be violent? That would be something that I wouldn't want to say. But on the other hand, in movies, it's an extension, it's different than reality, it's super reality, right? So I figured it would give those kids who had no voice some kind of a voice. And so, and certainly, I've met a lot of kids on the spectrum, so to speak, especially now. And they can have more emotional presence, more emotional comprehension than almost anybody I've ever met, regardless if they can't verbalize it. So I thought, you know, bitch, kill my mom. I think that a child could understand that. And so it would be the factor of giving those kids a voice, so maybe they related to that, like, but do it in such a way where it would feel, you know, because every villain thinks they're doing the right thing, okay? So it is righteous vengeance gone horribly awry, and, you know, and it worked. There you go, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, just, I'm gonna try to just say this. To answer your question, right, a friend of mine went to, I'm from New York, so she said, let's go to LA for Power season. And I said, sure, but it was not a smart thing to do because I was already in some serious debt. So I said, let me go and, you know, just see what that's all about, that experience. So I was behind my bills, I was, you know, loading up my debt, my credit cards, and I went anyway, which was, it's pretty stupid when you think about it, right? So we went, and that first one, January, an agent from New York said, if you work with my partner, I'm happy to, you know, work with you out here in LA. So I went to LA, I met with him, and he said, why did you come out here? I said, well, the agent told me I could work with you, and I want to work. And he said, well, I'm sorry, but I don't have someone like you. I said, who do you have? You know David Harris? David Harris, the Warriors guy? Yeah. So I just looked at him like, what does that like? I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say that. Anyway, so that in those days, one black was enough. You were represented already, we don't need any more. So okay, fine. So then the next several weeks, I spent a lot of time knocking on doors, which you don't do in LA, but I was doing it anyway. And I got an agent, and they started sending me out for auditions. I got callbacks and final callbacks, got nothing. At the end of that month, February 28th, I had my flight booked to go back to New York. I was going to tell the agent, someone got sick, I had to be back home. The time of the flight was around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The audition, he called me and said, I have an audition for you at 1 o'clock. And he said, the job is this movie called Magazines. The one thing I want to mention to you is that you will know today if you got that part. And because the actor that they cast in that role just did a movie called School Days. He shaved his head, and they don't want him. So, would you know, I mean, you and several people be auditioning, but you'll know today. So I'm thinking to myself, well, that's interesting, but you know, how am I going to pay the rent for March? You know, and you know, so it was a bit of a deal, so I decided, let me go for it, because if I don't, then I'm going to be forever thinking that I should have done it. So I went for the audition, and then I was told that I had the part. And I was like celebrating, because the opposite of that would have been really disastrous. So anyway, so I thought I made a good decision. Now thinking about this, I wasn't even thinking about. I read the script. I was even thinking about the first black guy surviving, and at that time I was just happy I had a job. I was happy that I had, you know, some money in the bank, and I had, and that was it. You know, I didn't even think about anything else. But later on, you know, people started saying, you know, black folks don't survive these horror films. And I thought, wow, that's an and much less, you know, become the hero of the film. Oh, okay. So I took that and ran with it to the bank.
That's a great story, and it shows you that sometimes the universe presents you with those crossroads, and it will manifest based on the decision that you take. So if you imagine yourself being in that movie somehow, and you just go in there like you already got it. Because they said to you, you're gonna know today.
Yeah.
And the other guy shaved his head anyway. So you're like, I got this part. And you just came in and took it. Yeah. Do things like that.
So I know that we're kind of running short on time. We've only got about a minute or two left. You guys are at your tables for the rest of the afternoon. Come by and see. But before we get everybody gone, one quick question for the panel. This is the time when you're interacting with the fans. You're actually meeting people that are coming up and sharing their stories. Sometimes you might not want to hear some of the stories they're sharing, but they're sharing their stories with you and what you mean to them, what your role is meant to them. Do you have any like really interesting or really cool stories, or things that you walked away going, my life just got changed?
Sure. The thing is that I'm not going to have anything specific to that question, but just the whole idea of conventions and the idea of us being able to talk to the audience and it's a gift of gold. It's fantastic. Friday the 13th Part 2 is the gift that keeps on giving. And I love these conventions and I love coming out to see the bands.
For me, it just feels so good to meet people that appreciate your work and work that you did a long time ago. It's so great to meet people and connect with them. And it really is, the whole thing is about the fans. It's not about us, it's about the fans.
Yeah.
You know, and I have never in my life seen more hardcore fans than horror fans. They're the best.
Yeah, fan interaction is in fact part of the art form today. As you see some of the bands out there like Ice Nine Kills and their fan interaction is amazing. Because my band plays like 200 shows a year, we're constantly interacting with fans and super dedicated fans like guys who have bands based on Friday the 13th or other horror. So for instance, in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Shrine, a couple at my merch booth, the woman proposed to the man at the show. They named their daughter Ariana after me. And then, so they show up every time we're doing that show in Tulsa. And, I think the last time we were there was their anniversary and stuff like that. So, and then anytime, you're at an event and you see the look on these kids' faces, because right now there's a kind of odd bonding between kids ages 5 to 10 and their aunts and uncles over Jason Voorhees, because it's something they can do, like their parents. How do you know about what my uncle or my aunt takes me and we do it? It's something we do for fun, and it's very liberating and empowering for them. So they associate me with that, and I can't ever take that for granted. Thank you.
100%. The horror fans are just phenomenal. Such a loving, dedicated community, and the whole horror community to me, it is a community, it is a family. I find that conventions, it's like old friends. We talk, whatever your position is, whether you're an actor, you're a fan, you're a vendor, you're a director, people come together, connections are made, and there's this bizarre family amongst this community, which I love so much, and it's really hard to explain to people that aren't into it. Like they just don't get it, they don't understand. But I'm eternally grateful. We all are, especially because this is an 80s horror panel. Like, I'm sorry, 30 years ago, there's no way our films would be, you wouldn't know who we were if it wasn't for you guys, keeping the films alive. So 100%, we're super grateful. And I'm always floored when I hear stories from fans saying, how much your films and your characters meant to us. Like people will say, I think the horror show, at first I didn't understand, like, how are we to comfort, horror? But, entertaining, yes, but a comfort. And I slowly started to learn that it's, a lot of times people who are having a lot of trauma in their own lives, it's an escape, and it's something that you can deal with the horror on the screen, and it can be very cathartic for people. So I think we speak for all of us that we feel extremely honored to be able to play that kind of role. We certainly didn't know that or expect it when we cast or actors getting a job and excited. We had no idea 30 years later people would be telling us that the impact of them. So it's such an honor, and thank you guys so much.
I had been, I sort of dropped out of show business scene for a while. Father paid a bill to be a father. And somebody found me and I did a film, and then somebody else found me and I started doing these shows. And that was 22 years ago. And but I don't think I really understood the impact I had until I was doing a show election in Kentucky. And this guy at the Catastrophicon club, he said, when you were here, why am I don't go anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. So then I could see him walking along with two boys, and then he was asking his wife, and gets to my table, and he turns her to look at me, and she's fucking burst into tears. So I jump up, throw my arms around her, and say, hey. And then she goes, oh, God, you're so good. I just love you so much. And then, of course, I started being an actor. You know, I'm old, half a step away from But until that moment, I really didn't understand. That happened to me in the theater. My dad was nice and middle. I had Andy, the old man when I was young. Yeah, the old guy with one hand and the old dog. And my dog was in the theater. I had a 22-year-old fucking little fat black dog called Green, mine and everything. And so it always got, when they take the dog away to shoot it, they thought Candy and pick the dog up with a stick and up the bunkhouse or something. And it wasn't driving the house. They get it off stage with the gunshot, and the guy also did a pressure test stuff. And he did a dog right after the gunshot. But anyway, until then I didn't realize what kind of impact that it really had. And we're lucky in the horror films, hardcore horror films, that our fans are so incredibly loyal. And to almost like it's a culture show, And so I think a lot of actors and other genres really didn't chance to do as much as we did. And I just love it. So thank you so much for coming out and keeping me a little over my head. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming.
So, I do a lot of theater. I've done a lot of theater in New York City. And I can remember all the trauma, all the days of rehearsal, everything that you go through from start to middle to end, And I was on a panel of a podcast with you guys, and Beatric did something really fascinating. She showed me a clip of a thing I did on Sesame Street, which I did not even remember. It was just like a day that we did it. It was maybe like an hour or so, and I never saw it. And it was done. And then when you showed it to me, I'm like, what's that? I didn't even remember it. But I'm just saying all that to say that, like doing this horror film in 1987, and then in 2015 to get a call from an agent saying, would you like to go to a convention? I was like, convention? What is that? I had no idea what that was. The only time I heard about convention was O.J. Simpson when he killed his wife. And then he Ron somebody, I guess, said that they would like to get that money that he makes off that convention when he goes to those sports. So the sports conventions, but they can't because it's all cash. So that's why I said, so that's what that is. So, but,
in a roundabout way, that's
I was happy to hear you guys are amazing because I remember going to this convention. The first one I went to, and this guy knew every single thing about every horror movie. I mean, he could give you, because they were having these contests to see, and this guy was like, knocking it out the box. I said, wow, that's real dedication to the art. Yeah. That is real serious dedication. So I'm just happy to be in your company. I learned a lot from you. I appreciate horror films more now because of you guys. Because there is a real art to it, and there's a lot going on in these films. So thank you for having me come to these places, and I'll just end it on that note.
I've been incredibly humbled to meet so many people that said that I've changed their lives or the lives of their family members that completely floored me because I doubt myself all the time. I met this young kid at a wrestling show because I work in wrestling too. And he said, Monique Dupress, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh my God, I've been wanting to meet you. My father used to talk about you all the time. And I was like, well, who's your father? He was like, well, he met you at Chiller and Monster Mania, and he would always buy your DVDs and you would watch them over and over, and you talked about how you listened to him when other people rushed him away, that you listened to him. And you always took pictures with him for free, and he would bring these keychains and all of these different things. And I was like, well, I heard him say was, but it didn't really dawn on me. So I was like, well, what happened? And he was like, well, he passed away. And he was like, even the week that he passed away, he was just talking about Monique Dupress, and she was so sweet, she was so kind. And I actually cried because I had no idea that I had such an impact on him. I knew that we walked movies, did autographs, we talked, and the conversations we had were genuine. It's just that I didn't realize that he felt like those were so different. And I've had a lot of experiences, but that one always sticks out and always reminds me to be humble, to be kind to each and every person. I don't care how bad of a day that I'm having, I'm not giving any of that to you, especially my horror fans. You guys are like the best ever. Seriously, you are. You are who make us who we are and keep us. I haven't been, in the movies that they've been in, but I have these experiences, and that one experience will always teach me to be kind and to be humble and to always appreciate my horror fans. Well said.
Everybody that has not already met our panel, they're in it's Crystal Lake, right? Is that where you guys are? Crystal Lake. So go check them out. You're not Crystal Lake?
No, she's the rest.
We'll find one of you